Well, first of all, thank you all for coming here. I would like to take a minute first to thank the Momus Museum of Photography of Thessaloniki. They've been very kind hosting our events. Since you are here at the festival, take a few minutes of your time to come and see the exhibition, Stereoscopy, that is up these days. It's really nice. So, this is the second Bridge to the North. Last year it was Lithuania. Bridge to the North is our new endeavor where we bring delegations from countries from the north, the Baltics and Scandinavia, to do what it says on the box. To discuss, network, and find possible opportunities for co-production. I would like to wholeheartedly thank the Swedish Institute, the Swedish Film Institute, the Swedish Embassy in Athens, and of course, the Göteborg Film Festival. Everyone helped, and it was a beautiful process working with all of you people. Thank you so much, and thank you, lovely delegates, for taking the time to be involved and to come all the way here, and let's see how this is going to unfold. Now, I'm giving the floor to Maria Drandaki, and again, thank you all for being here.
Okay, thank you, Thanos. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Maria Drandaki from Athens-based Homemade Films. Bridge to the North is a very nice and important initiative of Thessaloniki Film Festival because it gives us an insight and we get to know more of how to work with our northern colleagues. And this year, the focus country is Sweden. Sweden, of course, is no stranger when it comes to Greek co-productions and collaborations, but still we will get more details of the financing tools and, of course, case studies of co-productions with Sweden or of Sweden. And without further ado, I will introduce you to the wonderful colleagues here. From my left side, I will start with Anna Maria Kantarius from Garagefilm, Kristina Börjeson, head of production at Filmi Väst, Theo Tsappos from the Swedish Film Institute, festival manager, feature film international department, and of course Zoe Kandyla, our own Zoe, the head of development and production from the newly founded Hellenic Film and Audiovisual Center. And maybe I thought we can start with presentations of main topics for the co-productions with Sweden. And feel free, if you have questions when each presentation is completed, to ask. And then we can also discuss and answer questions and thoughts and whatever else. So we can start with Theo, or Theo, or Theo.
Hello. Does it work? Yes. So my name is Theo Tsappos. I'm from the, I don't know where to look, but I will look all over, I think. My name is Theo Tsappos. I'm from the Swedish Film Institute. I'll try to manage this one as well. I work for the international department at the Swedish Film Institute, and just a short introduction to the Film Institute in Sweden. We are the national film agency and film institute that I think are mostly sort of famous for production funding, because we fund Swedish films, feature-length films, documentaries, and short films. No TV drama from the Swedish Film Institute, and international co-productions. We also try this. No. The Swedish Film Institute, of course, works with production funding, but we also work. We have a film archive. We do restoration of digital restoration of our archives of Swedish films and international titles as well. The Cinematheque in Sweden is included in our organization. We have a film library, and the promotion agency is what I work for, we can say. The international department at the Swedish Film Institute is, in some countries, it's separated from the production side, but it's included. We have everything gathered at the same place in this, at the Swedish Film Institute. When it comes to the international co-productions, this is support that is handled by the Department of Film Funding. That the international department that I work for is included in that department. The goal is, of course, to strengthen the relationship between Swedish production companies and international, and to give the best possibilities for our Swedish production companies to reach out internationally, get better knowledge, and of course strengthen their relationship for possible co-productions towards Sweden. So we think a lot about, for me, the most difficult word, reciprocity. You yes. Yes, so the international co-production, I'm just going to go through this support because I think this is the one that we're mainly here to talk about. So the support is given to the Swedish production company. So it's the Swedish producer that is doing the full application and everything connected to that. And you have here the Swedish producer's definition is that, of course, you can't just come to Sweden and start a company and then next day you can apply. You need to be stadigvarande, you know, the one good thing with our rules is that you don't have to be a Swedish citizen, but you have to have a Swedish organization number and a Swedish company to be have an official production company. Yeah, the co-productions that it can apply is you have to have a Swedish co-producer attached to the project, and the funding limits for it is we can support maximum up to 80% of the Swedish costs, and it should be a cost that is related to Sweden and it says here. So the Swedish producer's role is really important for us. It shouldn't not be what we in some cases call just a transfer party. It should be a really contributing party of the production, and the Swedish producers should be creatively attached to the projects and responsible, of course, for all the artistic, technical, and financing components from the Swedish side. When you apply, you need to have the majority of the financing, majority of financing is preferred. Majority of financing from the major country is on demand, of course. So, and what majority is of course something that we can interpret, but I would say we usually say that it needs to be over 60%. And to get funding, you need to have a LOI or a letter of commitment or letter of interest minimum from a Swedish distributor. So you have to have secured distribution in Sweden. But it doesn't have to be theatrical. It can be TV or it can be a VOD. Of course, and the bigger the better, I will say. It doesn't have to be bigger in the sense that it should be for a big audience, but it should be a distributor that is committed to the project. The countries that can apply for this or the projects needs to be from a country that have bilateral agreement with Sweden or is what's it called, ratified by the EU convention. And this would, I was roughly that is the countries in Europe. But we have a possibility to support films from outside of these countries. But then it needs to be the financing. If let's say if it's a film from Colombia, it can't be the financing from that country can be more than 30%, and it needs to be 3 countries within the that are ratified, that are connected to the project. Sweden can be the one of these 3 countries. Yeah, the application process for documentaries and short film, it's rolling. You can apply whenever during the year. But for fiction feature-length films, it's 3 deadlines per year. We haven't decided on the deadlines for next year, but they are usually connected to, I would say, Berlin, Cannes, and one in the autumn. So it's roughly it's 1 or 2 weeks after Berlin, 1 or 2 weeks after Cannes, and start of November, end of October is usually the deadline, somewhere around that period.
How long does it take to get an answer?
We have it's 6 weeks handling time. So the decisions are made usually 5 weeks after the deadline. Between 5 and in the 5th week. So we have made all the decisions within 6 weeks. The case handling officers, we have the support is taken care of by one of our feature-length commissioners. Together, and it's one of the in Sweden we have 2 commissioners for feature-length films for adults. We have other commissioners as well. We have if you apply for documentary, you apply to the documentary commissioner, and if you apply for shorts, you apply to the short film commissioner. And when it comes to, we have 3 other commissioners, as 2 feature films and 1 for children and youth. But children and youth films, everything that is feature-length fiction is the same commissioner when it comes to international co-productions. And the commissioner works together with our controller and the international department with group of referees. So that goes through all these applications per period. And what we're looking for when we make the decision, of course, we look at each project, but we don't approve which is what we consider the best product. This should be the best product for this support, of course, and it should be the artistic quality of the project in general. And what we believe is important is this long-term collaboration potential. It's good if it's applicant that have a strong connection with the Swedish co-producer and the main producer and the possible other co-production companies within that project should have long collaboration. If they don't have a long collaboration, that's of course they should have a plan for the upcoming collaboration. It should we don't want to support sort of one-offs. And of course, the Swedish involvement is really important to us. And when it comes, this is where we say it should have artistic significance to Sweden. And some might think that this is all only on screen. Of course, that's good, but it's off screen. It's really important for us as well. So, and what that is, artistic contribution is, I would say, editor, cinematographer, of course, key roles, any important function. Can also be a VFX artist, depending on the project, of course. And of course, the distribution plan is important to us, both the national and the international, and national within for that country. If it's a French production, it should be what is the launch plan in France, what is the launch plan in Sweden, and the international idea. And all this, of course, we have the potential. You can't just have a big plan that is sort of unrealistic. It should be a realistic and feasible plan. And of course, we have in Sweden, we have we support by we try to have gender balance in all aspects, in key roles, in of course for the project, but also when it comes to tight amount of projects in general. So it's we try to divide it so we don't give to too many in one side or other. We also, which we don't have any like official statement of, but we try to have balance when it comes to which type of projects we support. So we try to support a few what we call big projects, a few smaller projects, mid-size, and that that also comes when it comes to production companies, the Swedish ones. We try to not just focus on the experienced ones, because I think we have a lot of really strong and experienced producers that have done amazing co-productions in Sweden. And with the budget we have, we can only focus on them. We try to squeeze in a few new ones as well, so they can become experienced one. And we try to have some sort of balance when it comes to co-production countries, because when we look at the applications, it's heavily focused on the Nordics, of course. It's the majority of the applications we receive are from Norway. Norway and Denmark are main countries, and like Finland and Iceland as well. And we, of course, look so we don't fund everything from give everything to Denmark, or and here we also look at what potential the possible co-production countries have for Swedish projects and what they have done so far.
And in terms of directors' experience, do you also keep a balance between first-timers and more experienced?
Yes, we try to have that. But when we say balance, of course, it is this support focused more on experienced directors. When we say balance, I want to say that so we don't say balance, so it's 50% first time and 50% not. But we maybe try to have around 20-25% first or second time filmmakers. And
so about the gender balance, have you achieved the 50-50?
When it comes to, I would say in general, we have roughly 50-50 when it comes to director and producer, and producer and scriptwriter in general. This is with all supports that we give, also including the Swedish ones. It's roughly 50-50.
I have to say that the Swedish Film Institute was one of the first to open up this discussion and start balancing the support too.
But I don't have the number for international co-production, but I would say that here it's not 50-50. When it comes to applications, it's not close to 50-50, especially when it comes to director and producer. It's heavily male-oriented. But when it comes to the support that we give, I would guess that it's 60-40. And when we say these percentages, we base it from director, producer, and scriptwriter. Is the sort of the roles that we measure. As I said, we have 3 deadlines per year. Roughly, we approve 10 to 12 projects per year. So between 2 to 4 per session. And the average support, roughly, is between 80,000 euros and 150,000 euros. We don't have maximum limit on what you can apply, but I can say the maximum support that we have been given so far is 200,000 euros, roughly 2 million Swedish kroners. And the minimum have been, now I'm speaking also about fiction feature. I think the smallest one this last year has been maybe 50,000 euros. And of course this, the level we put the support is of course based on the project, based on the budget, based on the Swedish spend, and but then also of course based on our own budget for it. And what even some projects have huge spend in Sweden, then hopefully Film Väst can be included in those, or if they are not. But yeah, we it's based on the total budget, not just the project.
And the spending obligation is 100% at least, right, of the Swedish contribution.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. I didn't include any projects that we have supported, because usually when we announce which project we support is close to green light of projects. So, and I'm never updated on which one we have announced that we have supported, because I know which one we have, and I don't want to confuse it and missay something. But maybe we can do some examples later on.
And, we can now go to Zoe to tell us the Greek side of co-production.
Yeah, there we go. Hello, everyone. Very nice to be here. So I'm heading the development and production department of the Hellenic Film and Audiovisual Media Center, Creative Greece, which is the new iteration of the Greek Film Center, combining selective funding and automatic funding. So we're becoming bigger and better. That's the idea. And I'm going to talk to you today about selective funding, the funds that my team is managing. So like Theo said, we support films only, short films, feature films, debut features. We have a special provision for debut features, and we have a special provision for low-budget films. And of course, we support minority co-productions, and we provide also screenwriting and development funding. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what it's like to produce, like what is our investment in Greek films and why we really need co-productions for Greek films. And then I'm going to talk about what role Greece is playing in becoming a minority co-producer and co-producing with countries around the world, really, especially with European countries. So the production funding we provide, the maximum amount a film can get is 350,000 euros.
This is for a majority Greek projects, exactly, to avoid
exactly.
confusion.
Yeah. This is for a majority Greek project. In reality, no title, no project has received this level of funding. Unfortunately, the average is around 200 to 230, 240,000, and we're very happy that in the last announcement we made, we were able to support 2 projects with 280,000 euros. So we're increasing the intensity of our fund. However, on average, like we fund the 15% of the overall budget of a film. That's without taking into account any development funding that maybe a project has received. So that would be in addition to that. So I'm just going through those figures to make everyone understand that co-producing is not just a desire for Greek producers, it's a necessity, really. And they've been doing really well. We co-produce with, these are just like countries that we see a lot coming up with Bulgaria, Albania, Italy, Germany, lots of France, of course, Romania, Slovenia, the United Kingdom, and recently we see more countries coming up. We see collaborations with Luxembourg, which is really promising and amazing. And the results are really good. So I just wanted to include a couple of titles here just to visualize as well, like, you know, what's the result of these co-productions. Animal, of course, was the big winner here in Thessaloniki last year. It got the Best Film Award after having premiered in Locarno and having won the award for Best Female Performance there. Arcadia is another co-production that is just going to have it had its international premiere in Berlin, and now it's going to have its Greek premiere here. So we see really good results. The talent is definitely there. And then on the flip side, the Greek Film Center and Greek producers are becoming quite a dynamic player in producing as a minority production partners with Europe, but not only. I believe we've been quite successful in this, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the Minority Co-Production Fund that we manage, a little bit in more detail, but just to say that we've been very lucky to have supported in the last almost 4 years, 32 co-productions with a total of 3.6 million. And these are through 2 schemes, the Minority Co-Production Scheme that I'm going to talk to you about, and then we had, let's say, a pilot scheme, well, a time-limited scheme through funding from the Greece 2.0 Recovery and Resilience Plan, which has been hugely helpful to Greek producers. And these are just some of the titles that, again, very well-known titles that have done great at festivals, that we had the premieres recently, and that are screening here as well in Thessaloniki. And then, yeah, before I go to the detail of like the fund specifically, I just included this slide to have a think about like what do European co-productions, what do international co-productions mean, and I just used 2 like very well-known examples. I believe like we had Quiet Life, which is written and directed by two Greek filmmakers, but the story is about a Russian family seeking asylum in Sweden, and then we had co-production with Sweden, with Germany, with France and Estonia, and then of course the huge success of The Triangle of Sadness, that was a co-production which was a Swedish filmmaker shooting in Greece an English language film. So it's just thinking about how we all collaborate, and that's the sense that it makes sense, you know, to co-produce. So I'm going to go through the Minority Co-Production Scheme relatively quickly, because obviously the information is on our website, and me and my team are going to be here, and you can ask us questions. But yeah, we provide a maximum of 100,000 euros per project, and we do take profit share on the film. We invest in the film. Or there is also the option to apply for a grant, which is just 30,000 euros. We need to have 100% of the spend, in the Greek spend. So if you do get the 100,000 euros, we want to see that this is spent on Greek talent or locations or both. We have, Greece as a country has ratified the revised convention of the Council of Europe, and we also have bilateral co-production agreements with 4 countries at the moment, and we're hoping to keep developing this. And like Theo said, of course, we're open to also co-producing with countries that are not in the convention, but then it becomes much trickier. So the spend needs to be 3 times of what you apply from us.
Zoe, is there an average amount? Can you tell us what's the average amount of support?
The average amount, I would say, is around 75 to 80,000. And yeah.
And what would be like the elements you are mostly looking for? So,
yeah, it's a combination. It's a combination. The quality of the project is first and foremost. What's a little bit of a, so we do also very much value the artistic contribution on and off the screen. We're very interested in HODs, or people like directors of photography, editors, music, composers, not just the on-screen talent. We definitely want to see a diversity in countries. We definitely want to see quite an ambitious distribution plan. We want to have some faith that the film is going to do well at the festival circuit, but also it's going to be shown around the world. I think I would say these are the main criteria, but every time we have long discussions about what's most important or not. Gender does play a role, a little bit like what Theo said. Like we are definitely careful in the overall funding, but minority co-production, it's competitive, and it's smaller in terms of like the general quota. So we do definitely look into it, but I wouldn't say that we get the balance that we always are after. Now. Of course, Greek producers need to apply for the minority co-production scheme. We have 2 submission periods per year, and the results are announced 4 months later, so we're a bit slower, quite slower. And before you apply, you have to have 50% of the overall budget secured, and you have to also have secured backing from a state funder. It doesn't need to be from the majority country. Usually it is, but it needs to have at least the backing of state funder or a deal with a broadcaster. I think that's it. I'm trying. Yeah, I think that's it. But I'm open for questions, of course.
Okay, thank you. And let's go to this side of the delegation, and we can have Kristina present film Väst.
Yes, hello everyone. It's a bit strange of a position, but we'll manage. My name is Kristina. I'm head of production at Film Väst, which is a regional fund in Sweden. And I will tell you a little bit about the fund, and also, of course, what we do, and why maybe all of you, are welcome to us. And during the presentation, you will see films that we have co-produced. So this was Magnus von Horn. I think it's screening here in the festival, The Girl with the Needle, that was in Cannes. The fund is old, founded in oldish. It's the oldest regional fund anyway in Sweden, since 1992, when it was really small. We had a budget of 30,000 euros at that time. I didn't work there. I've been there for 4 years. Now we have a total budget of 13 million euros for everything. And so we have developed since the start and become quite a big player. And like you saw, we have been co-producing more than 1,500 films, and that includes also drama series, short films, documentaries, feature films, Swedish and international ones. So we have been busy, one could say. This is our region, the dark greenish one with Gothenburg in the center. It's Västra Götaland, and you can see how it relates to the rest, to the capitals in the Nordic countries, and also actually we don't have a film commissioner, so I'm a little bit of a film commissioner now also. You can see it's along the west coast, famous for its beauty, but you can also find all kinds of landscape and all kinds of small, boring and nice cities to the right. This gang you probably recognize. They were here in Greece for quite a long time, like you all know, but they were also, of course, in Sweden, and here they picked up prizes at the European Film Awards in Reykjavik. So our objectives as a fund is to reach out and concern a wide audience, to achieve high artistic quality nationally and internationally, to develop the regional industry, and also to work with sustainability. And the fund itself is it's owned by the regional government. It's structured as a company, actually, together. Also, the opera and some other entities are structured in the same way, owned by the regional government. So what we get is tax money, comes in as taxpayers' money, but it goes out as an investment. So we are co-producers. We are not like the institutes. We don't handle soft money, but we become co-producers. So that's a little bit of a difference.
If I may say, just to clear this a little bit more, it's not only co-production, but it's also equity.
It's also equity. It's
okay.
also, I will come to that, but it's also equity, definitely. So this is what we and our owners wants us to reach by investing in all these different kinds of films and series. So we are, like these guys, investors, maybe not that much co-producers. Oh, I don't know, yeah. Get all shaky thinking about tomorrow. Ali Abbasi, you know, maybe you saw the film. If not, you should do that. It was in Cannes. And together with the Film Institute and the SVT, the public broadcaster, we are the biggest financiers of feature films, Swedish films. And from our overall budget, we invest around 10 million euros per year in all these kinds that I told you about. And the amount of money is not exact because we get revenues since it's equity. So there might be good years and better years and fantastic years. And then there are some normal years. But so we don't really know, because that's like the hardest thing to find out how much money we're getting back. But we invest it all. Nothing goes to anything else. And we also have to invest it during the year. So we can't keep anything. So that's where the international co-productions actually play a big role in the puzzle. The volume, you see there, I mean, I told you we've been doing during the years, but during 1 year, I would say we handle around 50, 60 titles, because we do quite some short films, talent. We also do talent development in the region. So all in all, me with my 3 colleagues, we handle around 50, 60 projects, continuously going through the different stages of the process.
You're quite busy.
We're quite busy.
For such a small team.
Yeah, we're quite busy, but it's also, we talk a lot about how to interact in the projects, what kind of co-producer we want to be. So we don't want to go into the details. We don't have ideas on the scripts like that. We have ideas on the themes. I mean, once we make a decision, we hope that we made a good decision. So we try not to sort of interfere, but contribute. So you can get a lot of other things from us. We have a big department of communication with a lot of knowledge, and we have production advisors. And like you see, we have a lot of post-production companies. Most of the international co-productions do post-production in the region, so they are really skilled and very good. So we handle a lot, but it's okay. It's fun. So the way we work is very much built on relations with producers, of course, first-hand producers and production companies. Without them, we wouldn't know what to do with the money. So we need to develop and continue and have good relations with the Swedish producers and also international ones, of course, because that's what we need to be able to do what we are doing. And also we try to stick to these creatives. Once we found them, we really want to continue to work with them. You can see there are some of these directors that we have been working with for many, many times. And we also at the same time need to pick up new ones. So that's the puzzle. But I think, I mean, there's not a lack of talent in Europe. So it's, or in Sweden.
So there is still space for newcomers.
There is still space for newcomers. I'll tell you a little bit more what we are looking for. So when we enter a project, the goal very much is to gain recognition for Film Väst as a region, and as a co-production partner. So our owners, when we report back, we have the goals that I told you about. They're very clear and quite, I mean, maybe not that easy to reach, but they're quite easy to understand and to work with as being inside the organization, but they're also understandable for producers when we talk about why we didn't choose that project but another one. So I think that actually works out okay. And what we're looking for primarily for this recognition, this project that will go to either of these 5 festivals, Cannes, Berlin, Venice, Toronto, or Sundance. And we're quite hard on that. Of course, not every project ends up in either of these festivals, but we need to be sort of aligned with the idea that that's the ambition. And we, when we make the decision, also think that, yeah, that might go to Cannes, or that might go to Berlin, or whatever idea.
See the potential.
Yeah. So it's like Theo said, it's not about what's written on the paper. You need to have a dialogue and talk about it. But that's also... We're hard on that, but that's also a reason for us being quite successful. So we stick to that. Yeah, nice picture, but now you can't read the important stuff. This is Paradise is Burning. That was in Venice, Horizonte last year. Mika Gustafsson, super talented Swedish director. So not even I can see. So 15 international co-productions. That's what we're looking for every year. And out of these 15, 5-ish should be from the Nordic countries. And out of those 5, within those 5, we look for films, mostly Norwegian and Danish films, because that's where the project comes from, not that much from Iceland and Finland, but projects that are aiming to get on the top of the box office, 1, 2, 3. So we have had a lot of successful films from Norway, disaster movies like The Wave, or things like that. Thomas Winterberg, who actually delivers on any goal. We love him for that. But in those 5, we also need to find new talents. So this year we co-produced Armand by Halvdan Tøndel Ullman, which was in Cannes. So that's a good example of a mix. But then the rest of it, the next 10 films, they could come from anywhere in the world, but I would say that we mostly focus on Europe. But lately we've actually done some films from Latin America. We did one from Australia. We can do a little bit what we want, but for us, the way to success, or what we're looking for, we can usually find in Europe. We don't need to look further, really.
Do you require to have a bilateral treaty or the convention, or this is no
here comes the easy part. We don't really... you need to have a Swedish... Nice picture again, but then part of the production made in Västra Götaland, it says, and minimum spend requirement is 1:1. But we don't do rules that much. It comes later in the co-production agreement, but we are quite easy. It's easy to enter in a way. Maybe harder to go all the way through, but it's easy. You need to have some finance in place. And on the next picture, which might be better off, we're not a first-in investor, and that's a little bit. Well, it's not a lie, but when it comes to some of the Nordic productions, of course, we are in a really early stage when Centropa comes with whatever. But usually, in a project, I would say that there is like 50-60% of financing. Or I could meet any of you here. I saw the co-production presentations today, and of course, there were some projects that didn't have that much, but for us, it's interesting to start a dialogue. And we don't have deadlines, so you can continuously apply. And at the end of the presentation, you'll see a picture of my dear colleague Anthony Muir, who some of you probably have met all over Europe. And he's the one handling the international co-productions. And you can always make contact with him, tell him about your project, send in a script, and then sort of get an early answer. It's nothing for us, or if it is something for us, then you can find a Swedish co-producer, because that you need. But then you don't need to go through the whole, I mean, the Swedish co-producer needs to apply, but you don't need to go through that whole process. You could get an early answer, so that sort of makes it maybe a little bit easier. Yeah, we're open to all genres, languages, yeah, anything that is good. And usually, I would say that the projects that we enter, they do the post-production. Some do shooting, mostly Nordic projects, but then again, there could be someone who wants to do something in our territory. So, and that, of course, then the amount that we enter with will change, because the more you spend, the more you get, in a way. And we usually, I don't think it says somewhere, but usually it's almost the same sums as for the Swedish Film Institute. So I would say in average, there are no limits. In average, we would put in between 100 and 150,000 euros. If you come and shoot, it probably increases up to 300,000 euros if you spend like 3, 4, 5 days and do some post-production. So that's all sort of part of the negotiation. So what you get the money, and you get also really professional film workers in the region, because they have been working for decades with Lars von Trier, with Thomas Winterberg, with a lot of experience, Ruben Östlund, you name them, Sanna Lenken, a lot of experienced filmmakers, Swedish and international ones. And we have these post-production companies in every aspect that you look for, which are really professional. And you also, we want also to give you more than the money, whatever in-house expertise we have and can give you, and advice when it comes to festivals or marketing or whatever. So that's sort of the position that we want to have as co-producers, not only to be monetarian one. Yeah, and we have a studio. This is from the shooting of, it's the yacht, Triangle of Sadness, where they built, all of you have probably seen it, if not, do. And this is where they had the dining room, where they had this fantastic meal, so it's built on a gimbal. So that was a huge project taking place in the studio. It's a state-of-the-art studio, and now we also have, maybe it's the next picture, a virtual production wall, a project-based one. So this is also something you can, if you co-produce with us, you don't pay for the studio. I mean, you pay for the electricity and the garbage collecting, but you don't pay for to rent the studio. It's included in being with us. If you want to use the virtual production wall, that's a cost that lies outside, because we have companies who deliver whatever technique you need. But this is in place and there for you to use.
Is this the studio use is on top of your, let's say, cash contribution, or this average amount includes this use as a rent?
Oh, I mean the electricity, the normal cost. No, you pay that on an invoice, so it doesn't.
No, what I'm asking is, is it that you combine a cash contribution and an in-kind, let's say, contribution?
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. Yeah, and this is us. The guy to the left, right. That's Anthony. You can find it on our website. There's an English one where you could contact us, and we continue the discussion. And yeah, happy to help. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Kristina. And now let's go into how all these things are going into practice. So, Anna Maria, we're all ears here.
Thank you.
So I was told to talk about Garagefilm, the company where I'm working, to tell you what we do and why and how, and also mention a few co-productions we are doing. So Garagefilm is a Swedish company based in Stockholm. It has existed for more than 15 years, and I've been with the company for more than 10 years. It's a small company. There's me as producer and my producer colleague, Mimi Spong, and then we have 2 associate producers. This is a selection of some film titles we produced, and as you see, it's a mix of everything, but there is actually a red thread to it, and those are our creators. We have a bunch of 10, 12 writer-directors that we work very closely together with and have done for a long time. Here are 4 of them. We have produced their first, second, third, fourth, fifth feature films for some of them. And they all are very different too. They have different backgrounds, different tempers, different working methods. But what unites them is their belief in the power of cinema. They have released films that have been screened on film festivals all around. They have a local fan base and also international one. And they deliver strong and unique stories and encourage you to be aware of the times we live in different ways. So what we do is we produce mostly features and TV series with these writer-directors, and we follow them in whatever format they are interested. If they want to do a hybrid film, we do a hybrid film. If they want to do an exhibition, we do an exhibition. And we really like to invest in these long-term relations and build this kind of experience bank together. Yep. So we produce, on an average, 1 to 2 feature films per year, and 1 TV series every 2 years, 1 to 2 co-productions a year. This, of course, varies, but on an average. We believe in diversity in front of and behind the camera, in strong and personal stories. And when I started to produce films, I had this vision that films can change the world. A bit naive, but with some of the productions we produce and with the reactions we get from audience telling us, thank you, this film changed my life, or thank you, this is the first time I feel I'm being seen on this big screen. It really proves that it can change the world a bit. So we still believe in that. Also curiosity for the world and high artistic ambitions and reaching out to the audience wherever they might be. These are some of the financiers we work with, some of the co-producers, distributors and sales agents. We mostly work and collaborate with our Nordic friends for natural reasons, because of the closeness of the countries, the exchange of Nordic actors and film workers, and also because some of the funding systems are based on this collaboration. For instance, if you apply to the Nordic Film and TV Fund, you need to have at least 2 TV broadcasters on board to be able to apply. And besides the Swedish Film Institute in Sweden and regional film funds like Väst, we also have a national broadcaster that is important to us for distribution, SVT. And you might wonder, is there a tax incentive? Yes. Is it working? If you ask me, not really. I mean, there is money and there are 2 deadlines a year. And the money is gone in 30 seconds. So to get the money, you need to spend like a week with a tech team in order to build a bot that can fill out the application form for you. So I really hope that next time I'm here, I can talk about a tax incentive that is working and sustainable. So yeah, but there is one. So. So we are a female-owned company, and to some might think this doesn't matter, but we think it does when it comes to what stories we choose to tell. We are also an independent production company, and as I said, we have this solid network within the Nordic countries, but we also like to work outside of the Nordics. This is an example of a film I produced 10 years ago called Something Must Break. It was in Rotterdam, where it picked up the main prize by director Esther Martin Bergsmark. And when we developed the film, we got a lot of advice, people telling us to, well, it is a story about, it's a transsexual love story, and we were told to tone down this aspect and not have a trans person in the main role, and maybe have the guy next door being the lead instead, and maybe not shoot too many scenes in super slow motion and stuff like that. And we listened to this input, but we felt that it wasn't really in the line of what the director wanted, so we did the opposite. And I'm very happy we did, because the reactions were fantastic in this is just some reviews actually in Danish, but it was sold all around in Europe, and it was the first film, I believe, in Sweden with a trans person in the lead, and maybe also in Europe. So this is one of the reasons that our tagline is reach wide without losing edge. Now to the, these are our productions this year, last year. We did a TV series for Swedish national broadcaster SVT called Telkia that was nominated for the Prix d'Europe. We also did another TV series, also for SVT, that was in the Cannes series competition with Film i Väst. And then we had the Hypnosis opening in Karlovy Vary. And when it comes to co-productions, you have, of course, some Nordic collaborations, Sick of Myself and Godland, My Wonderful Stranger, but also Polish co-production, Woman on the Roof, a Lithuanian-Spanish co-production called Slow, and some upcoming co-productions. And there I would like to especially mention a film that I'm particularly fond of called Brave New Love. It's a Danish, Greek, Swedish co-production. With the Greek Film Center on board, and we are collaborating with Studio Bauhaus. I don't know if Constantino is around, yes. And this is a collaboration I'm really proud of, because it started out 2 years ago when we got this co-development support from Creative Europe, which allowed us to start casting and location scouting parallel to developing the script, which has been super fruitful to create this organic development. So I can't wait to shoot this on Samos, and can't wait for Ekome to open up again. And I would like to dive into one of these co-productions for a few minutes, Slow, which is a Lithuanian, Spanish, Swedish co-production directed by Maria Kaftaradze. It opened in Sundance, where it picked up the prize for Best Director. And it's the story of a female choreographer that falls in love with an asexual sign language translator. So, of course, we had to do this one. And as Theo mentioned, we needed some creative input from Sweden to start with, and we decided we wanted to have some people that have a fan base. So we found the choreographer, Anna Vnuk. She has a fan base, and also the composers Iriag Meiner and Martin Hederos. So when we had them on board, and I can say this for all our co-productions, that we spend a lot of time making these perfect matches, presenting the main producers to a lot of different names, having a lot of interviews before we come up with these collaborations. Financing for this project. So when we started the financing, SVT decided they no longer wanted to enter co-productions with productions outside of the Nordic countries, so they were out. And as you need distribution in order to apply to the Swedish Film Institute, we contacted Folkets Bio for theatrical distribution. and they loved the script, and they were fans of the choreographer and the composers. So they came on board, and then we went to Film Stockholm, our regional film fund, and we actually became their first international co-production that they supported. And then we were ready for the Swedish Film Institute, and they came on board as well. So roughly we raised 150,000 euros for this project from Sweden.
Was the overall budget?
Around €1 million.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and then we started to work, and we had a bit of a chicken and egg situation, like should we start with the music or the dancing? And we came up with the idea to have a workshop in Stockholm. So we had the director, Maria, the composers, the choreographer, and 20 Swedish dancers for a day to try things out and record everything. And from that, a working method developed. So we also found one of the Swedish actors that is dancing in the film. She tried things out with the choreographer in Stockholm. This was sent to Lithuania, and then we did rehearsals with the Lithuanian dancers in Vilnius. And Irja, one of the composers, she attended all the scenes where dancing was shot in the film. So it was a really good collaboration. This is the Swedish premiere. The film was released, well, it was in competition at the Stockholm Film Festival and had some really nice reviews. And SVT picked up the film after this, so that was nice. And I think this is really one of the if we should talk about challenges and successes of co-production, that you get the opportunity / you are forced to have a distributor on board early on in the development to really boost the launch of these productions when we release them in Sweden. Of course, there are challenges. I mean, you have to navigate the system of many different financial bodies in Europe and changing regulations and tax, exchange rates and different working methods and royalty systems that are different from country to country. But in the end, I mean, it is nice to have this transfer of money from country to country, but I think that in the end, what makes sense and what makes it worth is the cultural exchange, and that in these productions, in these co-productions, you feel like you are a European producer creating great films together with others.
For this. Fun fact, Slow, as I said earlier, was the case study for the discussion of last year, where Lithuania was actually the focus country. And the Lithuanian producer was here to present, so it's a nice follow-up to see this, and thank you. I will start, maybe there's already any question or comment or anything from you? Elise?
It's just that as a Greek by adoption, I just wanted to say that the first film with a transsexual as a lead actor is Greek, actually, 2009, and it's called Strela. And I think you can see it these days because it's by Panos Koutras, and we have a tribute to him. So, yeah, go to see it. It's excellent.
All right, I have a question to all of you. I'm curious because, I co-produce for many, many, many years, and I think that things are getting all the more competitive. So I wanted to see if you have some numbers to share, how many projects apply and what's the success rate for these?
I can start. I said for the international co-productions at the Swedish Film Institute, they have gained a lot this last year, so it's definitely more competitive. We have three rounds per year and approximately 20 to 22 applications per round, and we grant 2 to 3, so around 5%, I would say. Oh no, that's not 5%. That's 10%. Yeah. But also, so it's 65 applications per year, but you can also apply twice. You can allow to apply 2 times maximum with the one project. So it's maybe 45 projects per year, but 65 applications.
Yeah. We're a little bit better. I think we're at around 20. I think we used to be at around like 24%, but now it's dropping. It's to like 20 to 20% of success rate, let's say. But with us, you can apply twice with the same project, so that helps matter a little bit. What I didn't mention before, whereas it was mentioned throughout the discussion, is that it is more difficult for debut filmmakers to get the minority co-production funding, unfortunately. And then, yeah, there is this phenomenon, I think, in Greece, where we do have Greek filmmakers shooting films abroad and like having a majority production from different countries and then coming to us for the minority co-production part. So they tend to be sort of like, we definitely want to support like Greek filmmakers working abroad and making great work, but that obviously makes things harder for anyone else applying on that round.
Well, I would say I can't really answer the question because we have this like bit unclear way of handling it, so there is actually no answer really. Sorry.
Okay, and based on how competitive the funds are, I mean, when you choose films, do you already have like a conviction that yes, I will get the financing from Sweden?
I would say I maybe had that a few years ago, and I no longer have it. But we also, as a company, we say no to a lot of projects. And we also feel that there are more and more projects being offered to us from all around the world. But we are a small company, only 2 producers, and we try to manage a sustainable life as well. But there are more and more approaching us. Yeah.
And what about majority Swedish films? Do you also co-produce, or do you have to co-produce?
Yes. I mean, even if we make a low-budget film, there is this scheme for new talents in Sweden within the Swedish Film Institute. Even if we co-produce, even if we do a low-budget film, that's where the Hypnosis, for instance, it was made within this scheme, and it's a Norwegian co-production with, I mean, it also has like 10 financiers on board, so yeah.
Okay. Because, I mean, as Zoe said, here in Greece, we really have to co-produce, and of course, I think it's very interesting, it's very creative a lot of times, but sometimes when it comes to an absolute necessity or the film doesn't exist, it becomes very complicated. So it's very important what you said, to spend time with your co-producers and to find the best elements that are on offer from the country. But I also felt that many times there were many challenges to overcome.
I think it's possible to overcome almost all the challenges if you have this, if you share the same values, if you have this really good collaboration with your co-producers. a collaboration of transparency. And for instance, on Slow, we very you have to adapt to all these different systems, but we very quickly adopted this thing that if there is a problem, we just offer each other different ways of, okay, so we have this problem, we can do A, B, or C, instead of going into this blame game that sometimes happens. I mean, we all work hard for this project, and we wanted to make the best film ever. So I think that's, I mean, one thing is choosing the project, but I think it's more about the people you work with. So that is really the core.
Yeah, and I believe a big part of the development is also getting, to know and understanding the differences and the goals of each film, and it is worth really investing this time before. Okay, one more question, which is not so much linked to co-productions, but just to make some comparisons here. Can you give us some numbers for the majority Swedish films support?
For the amount or success rate?
Amount more.
I think that's also a little bit difficult because I know roughly the amount of applications that we get, but that's kind of difficult to say. I think we get like 300 applications when it comes to feature films per year, but I wouldn't say that it's 300. That could be a treatment, it could be early, it could be so. But we support, I would say roughly when it comes to feature-length fiction, 10 to 15 films, all genres when it fictions, youth and children, debuts, and yeah.
And average amounts of support? I mean, what's the contribution? Average contribution?
The average, the support for the low budget or the first feature support is fixed. That's 300,000 euros from the Swedish Film Institute and 300,000 euros combined from the Swedish Television, shared between co-producing and licensing. The other supports when it comes to feature-length films, I would say it's between 600,000 euros to 1.5 million, depending on the project and where they are. I think we have definitely we have given production supports to on that is 250,000. Maybe that's if a film is shot, then it's more for post-production support, or if it's a big project that demands a lot, it can they can receive up to 1.5 million euros.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
But this is of course based on we have the budget for each commissioner have a own budget, and yeah, they handle that by themselves, but in collaboration with sort of each other and the head of production. And yeah, we don't want to put all the eggs in one basket, so I want to divide it, and that's. But so each commissioner maybe can support 3 films per year, yeah, which is really competitive.
So the decision is completely by the film commissioner. You end up.
The decision is of course made by our CEO in the end, but the decision is handled by the commissioners, and I would say they make the decision.
Yeah.
But they have to get approval from the head of production and the CEO, of course.
Yeah. While for you, Kristina, it's you and Anthony that make the decisions, or do you have like an external group? Or
no external people. It's Anthony, he chooses, and we have a dialogue. Formally, it's my decision on delegation from the board, but it's, I mean, I wouldn't make a decision without Anthony being on board, so to speak. Yeah. So it's constantly a dialogue between the two of us, and trying to we have different method now. We started with a new method to get the sort of the full picture, what we actually support. Since we have, I mean, I agree, we have a lot of projects going on parallel. So we discovered, like I said, we need to get rid of the money by the end of the year. So last year we invested in what came up this year in 24 international co-productions, and that's too much. But then again, it's a way to solve the situation. But now we're really trying to sort of make pictures for ourselves to really understand when and where the money is going out and to what projects. But no, it's the two of us, I would say.
Yeah. For me, it has been very impressive that I think you are one of the most active funds in meeting projects all around Europe, at least, where I have been. I mean, Anthony is one maybe of the of the people I know since my very, very early years in production, and that's why I was asking that you are a very small team and still very...
Yeah, we're small, but also, like you say, Anthony, if you haven't met him, you should. He's a really nice guy. He's Canadian, and he's been working with us for, I don't know, 13 years maybe. And he's... like the picture where it said relations, I mean, it's all this, part of our success is, a big part of our success is Anthony, really, because he has been around to all these festivals, connecting with people, finding new producers, still connecting with the old ones. So that's a super big part of our success. It's actually connected to one person, which is scary in itself. But he's like, we won't never let him go.
And maybe if we can say a little bit more about this equity part, because I think it's important for people to know when they come to you, I mean, how you recoup and in which position.
Pro rata pari passu.
And do you come first in the recoupment like an investor, or do you go with the co-producers?
With the co-producers,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay, it's good.
I actually didn't show you the picture, I don't know where that went, but what we sort of require, it seems like we're really just giving you things, but we also want things back, except for the film. For us, one of the also important parts, it's the PR. So we really want to be part of the announcement of the film. We always have a big press conference in Cannes, and which is, I mean, it's important for us, but it turns out it's quite good also for the projects that come there, because it gives a great lot of publicity. But it's also important for us to, I mean, if you come and shoot in the region, we want to go there with the local media and so on. So that's, we try to follow our projects through our social media, but also through PR with external media. So that's one thing. And then, of course, there should be a co-production agreement. And there are, like constant discussions with the logo and, you know, the credits, blah, blah, blah. So there are like a list of things that but the PR I really want, because I think that's also contributed to that people know of us, because we won't let that go.
And it's also an added value for a co-production.
I mean, it benefits everyone.
And Anna Maria, I saw maybe you have 2 films with Greece in your upcoming slate.
Yes,
Prayer for
the Dying.
Yeah, do you want to say a little bit more about these 2 films? I mean, what if you already know what you're doing in Greece? What are the elements?
For Brave New Love, we will be shooting for 2 weeks on Samos next year, and we, as I mentioned, we already started like the whole soft prep, you could say, with finding the crew and the location, and we also have a Greek actress. I will wait to announce that. But it's a director. I mean, it had to be Greece from the very start. not Croatia, even though it looks the same when we compare the locations. I mean, she's learning Greek in evening school to be prepared for these 2 weeks of shooting. Yes, wow. Yeah. Great. So she's going all into to make it a very homogenic co-production. And the Prayer for the Dying, they just finished shooting. They are editing in Gothenburg, actually, with you. Yeah. So it's I think it's it's Asterix. Yeah, that is the Greek co-producer for that one, and the main producer is Norwegian II.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, good. Great. Looking forward to welcome you. And hopefully next year you can tell us your impressions. Okay, is there any question from the audience? So if not, I think we can thank these people here. And,
thank you.
And thank you all, and thanks to the festival as well for hosting this event.